Hey y'all, how's it going? So today is Sunday, April 11th, which means it is the start of yet another reading vlog. I've got a lot to update you on. It is like 5 in the afternoon and I've already read 2 books. I was just in a reading kind of mood, and so let's just get to it. Both of them I read were on audiobook this time. I finished The Babysitter. I had like half the book left from last week's vlog that I was talking about. If you don't know, The Babysitter is by Lisa Broadman. This is a part memoir, part fiction book, mostly memoir though. And it is about a girl who, growing up, had a pretty crap life. And her mom just kind of threw her at whoever would watch her as she went off and did her own thing. She and her little sister was raised by a single mom in the 60s. And so this guy who was a part of this hotel that she was staying at, her mom worked there, her mom would just kind of pawn her off on this guy who was around. His name was Tony Costa. Come to find out, this dude was a serial killer. And he took her to his secret garden, which is where he buried all these bodies and stuff. So it was fascinating. It was creepy. The book could have been a little bit more well-rounded, a little better written. There was some parts that were kind of boring. It did take me a very long time to get into this book, and it was just kind of hard to get through. I gave it 3 stars. It was interesting in the true crime part of it, but the way it was written in the perspectives, I don't know, something just didn't quite connect and quite work for me. And I totally get that it's the 1960s and she's just relaying certain things that happened, but this book kind of read as homophobic. There were some things in there that I just didn't appreciate, didn't really like. Also, it kind of read in a way of like romanticizing Tony. Like she had a crush on him as a kid, basically. So it was kind of romanticized almost in a way. And it wasn't enough information on the girls and the people who died. And they kind of referred to the girls that he killed as groupies, or it was almost like offensive in a way to me. It just wasn't the best portrayal, I think. I think it could have been written in a different way, come off where Tony was the bad guy, which he was, and not so romanticized, so not so much about Tony and his life. Like, this dude was a complete psychopath. Anyway, I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. Next thing I finished and read was Stuck Up Suit by Vicky Lynn and Penelope Ward. Love this book. Gave it 5 stars. Listened to it just straight. Did not want to put it down. I love the audiobook of this. Highly recommend. It is about a boy. It's called Stuck Up Suit for a reason, right? So this guy is a CEO, of course, billionaire type of a guy. And this girl sees him on a train, thinks he's gorgeous. He's kind of an asshole though, and she sees this the way he's talking to people on the phone. He drops his phone. She finds it. She goes and tries to give it to him, and he's such an asshole that he can't come out and get the phone from her. Like, he treats her like utter shit. So she takes pictures, and he responds to her, and they start up this flirty banter. Is it realistic? Of course it's not. It's romance. The guy's not realistic. The girl's not realistic. The relationship isn't all that realistic. But did I love it? Yes. There is a child aspect that comes into this kind of, it's not a surprise pregnancy, but it is a surprise child that comes into play here. And I loved it. I love that aspect. I always love kids in books. That's my thing. Anyway, I highly recommend this book. Really enjoyed it. I've got to get off here. I've got to go get dinner for my mother and myself, and then I've got to go work for a couple of hours. I'm not sure what I'm going to be reading yet. I've also got to do a book haul, so that's going to be coming up very soon. Anyway, I'm going to get off here, and I'll talk to you guys whenever I have something to update you on. Y'all, the unboxing I have been waiting for all week is finally here. I've been wanting this for a long time, and I finally got it. I got one for my mom, too. This is mine. iPhone 12 Pro Max. Hey y'all, it is Wednesday, April 15th, and I've got another update for you. So it's been a couple of days. Honestly, I got my new phone. I got the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I've been playing with that for the last couple of days. So yesterday, I started and finished the audiobook of VIKTOR by Teresa Gableman. This is book number 13 in the Protector series. This is a paranormal romance series. I've been reading the series for a very long time. Teresa Gableman is in my top 3 favorite paranormal romance authors of all time. She's kind of a on the comedic side of the paranormal romance. So hers has a lot of funny humor in it. The writing is super easy. It's all first point of view. So if you're into paranormal romance, that's a total guilty pleasure of mine. If that's something you're into, highly, highly recommend the Protector series. Book 1 is Damon. You need to start there. So I'm not really going to give a major update on this. Like I said, this is book number 13. I gave it 4 stars. It was just a tiny bit insta-levy for my taste. These are all fated mates, so they all kind of fall in love quickly. This one just fell in love just a tiny bit too quickly for me. I still really loved it. I am currently reading the audiobook of Pam, which is the mates. It's all kind of interconnected, but I'm reading that audiobook right now. I am 75% of the way through Prisoner. I'm going to finish that tonight. This is by Skye Warren, and this is a dark romance. So this is about a girl who goes into a prison to teach an English class. She's an undergrad, and she has to go in and teach this class to finish her part of her degree. And so she's there and she's helping these guys. She thinks she's doing the best thing for them. And on the very last day, she publishes this little journal thing, and then she's going to say goodbye to the guys. And they all get in this major fight, and she's escorted out of the building. And one of the guys escapes, and he kidnaps her. And it is their romance. There is some non-consent stuff in here, but it's pretty light. It's more like consensual non-consent versus non-consent. It's still non-consent, but in a way, she doesn't really say no. She does want it. She is a little drugged, but it's still really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. So we'll see. I'm at 75% of the way through, so I'm almost done. I will finish that tonight. Hey y'all, what's up? It is Thursday evening, and I've got a lot to update you on. So last night I finished Prisoner by Skye Warren. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It is definitely dark. It is a dark, dark romance. It's one of the more dark books that I've read. It actually took me about a week to completely read it. I had to put it down a couple of times because it just kind of got super dark. There was some consent issues in this book, but it was justifiable in my opinion because of what he went through in his life, that he didn't know any better. It's really hard to explain this book. So it is a captor-captive romance. It's really, really good. I don't really want to give much away other than saying it's dark. After that, I started Just for a Little While. This is by Fiona Cole. It is her newest little novella. It is an age gap romance. It is a father's stepbrother romance, so it's kind of like an uncle-niece romance. He's also her professor, so it's student-teacher. Lots and lots of taboo tropes going on here. I gave this one 4 stars. It was good. My issue with it was that I know Fiona Cole's writing, and typically she's very, very steamy. And this book just didn't have as much steam factor as I was expecting and hoping for. I still enjoyed it. Also, the heroine, she kind of annoyed me in this book, and that really kind of disappointed me. But I'm not saying the book's bad by any means. I really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 stars. The next book that I read and finished today was Tessa, which is book number 2 in the Mate series, but it's book number 16 or something in the Protector series. So I'm really not going to give a full update on that. I give it 3 stars. It was my least favorite book in the Protectors series world. in general. I was really disappointed in it, and it made me really sad. Now I am starting, I think it's called A Bit Wild or something like that. It's by Melanie Harlow. It's book number 1 in the Small Town Romance. As you know, I've read book number 2, and I loved it so much. And it made me really curious about book number 1. The guy is a mechanic. He's kind of a grumpy hero. It's small town romance. I'm normally not into small town romances, but I absolutely adored book number 2. So I'm hoping that I'm going to love book number 1 just as much. That's my hope. So anyway, I am starting that one. And then I'm reading a novella tonight, which is The Protector's Christmas special. It's just the next book in the series, and I'm almost through with that. It will be done here in the next couple of minutes. And then I'm going to start Bishop, which is book number 15 of the Protector series, not the spinoff. There's spinoffs as well, which makes it like, I guess, book number 18 or 19 in the series in general. But it's book number 16 in the Protector's world. And I'm really enjoying the novella. Like I said, that's almost done. Bishop is coming up next. I'm really interested in Bishop's story. I am almost finished getting up to date on all of my Protector. That is my update. Tomorrow is my day off. And even though it's the middle of April, they're talking about snow. And I'm really upset because I just planted my garden. So now I've got to go tomorrow and buy a whole bunch of big garbage bags. And then I have to buy some like tarp type things to try to put over it and insulate it from this bad weather that's coming in this week. I'm so frustrated by that. Hey, what's up, y'all? It is Saturday night, and I've got a little bit to update you on. The first being that I did finish A Warrior's Christmas, and I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It had all of the protectors and their mates, and it was about like all of them, so that was cute. Then I finished Bishop. And I really don't want to like go into major details on that one because once again, this is like book number 15 or 16 in the series at this point. There's just really not much of a point of really going into details on that one. Then today I finished Drive Me Wild. This was by Melanie Harlow. This was technically the first book in the series. I read Make Me Yours by Melanie Harlow a couple of week ago, something like that. And I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This was very much the same. Drive Me Wild is about Griffin and Blair, and I adored their story. It's also small town romance, and it is kind of a grumpy sunshine kind of romance. He's a mechanic. She is like a debutante, came from a very wealthy family, and then found out that her father was basically embezzling money and got arrested for it. And so she's trying to start this new life somewhere new and gets a flat tire and ends up in this little small town and has her little romance. And it was just really well written, really cute. I'm not a huge fan of small town romances, but for some reason the series just really, really works for me. I'm really enjoying it. So that's really, that's all I've been doing is reading. I just started Him by L.L. Ash, which is a best friend's father romance. And this was written several years ago. I've heard about this one for quite some time, but I finally decided to go ahead and get to it. Hey y'all, so it's actually Wednesday, April 21st. I haven't updated you in several days. There's a very good reason for that. I was in the hospital from Sunday evening after I got off work until like late on Tuesday, and then I went to bed and got up and I finally was able to go to work today. But so Sunday night I came down with, I literally thought I was having a heart attack. No joke. At 32, like it scared the hell out of me. I had extreme chest pressure and pain for like 7 hours straight. It would not go away no matter what I did. It was going all the way up to my throat, into my jaw. I was having shoulder pain, upper back pain. It was literally the exact signs of a heart attack. And I'm sitting there going, I'm way too young for this. It's not that. But after like 7 or 8 hours straight of constantly having this chest pressure, I ended up going to the hospital. and they kept me there for 3 days. It wasn't a hard issue. I've been having some GI issues, some stomach issues for about 3 years now. I've gone to specialists. I've had colonoscopes, all kinds of crap done on me. And they diagnosed me with gastritis because of a certain medication that I'm taking, I guess. But I had no idea that gastritis can get so bad that it can literally mimic signs of a heart attack. So they need me to get off of this medication immediately. So I've got to contact my doctor. And of course, he wasn't open today, but I've got to call him and he's got to prescribe me something else instead of what I'm taking. But it literally threw me in the hospital for 3 days. I had all of these tests done. It was pretty rough. I just didn't really feel like filming any of that while I was there because I just wasn't feeling very good. And honestly, you know what it's like being in a hospital for 3 days. Like, I didn't have any visitors. I was just there. The bed's uncomfortable. Everything's uncomfortable. It's awful. And so I'm glad to be back home. I'm glad that I'm okay now and things are better. So anyway, I've got quite a bit to update you on. I did quite a bit of reading because my mom wasn't there, so I didn't get stuck watching TV all the time. So I was actually able to turn the TV off and just read. So I've got some things to update you on. I started and finished Him by L.L. Ash. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't like my favorite best friend's father romances that I've read, but I'd recommend it. I enjoyed it. The next book that I started and finished was Pam, which is the Protect Your Mate series number 3. Not really going to go into any kind of talk about that because, once again, it's super late in that series. Don't really want to talk about it. The next book that I finished was Call Me Crazy. This is Melanie Harlow's The Bellamy Creek series. This is her 3rd book in the series. All of these are kind of, you can read them standalone, but I would suggest reading them in order. I read the 2nd book first, and then went back and read the 1st book, and then I read the 3rd book. That's the only ones that are out right now. There's, I believe, one more in the series. And so this was pretty good. I gave it 4 stars, low end of 4 stars. It was my least favorite out of the 3. It is about Enzo and Bianca. It is a small town romance once again, of course. And it is a hate to love. It also is a marriage of convenience. And so they both come to an agreement to get married to each other and each other is getting something out of it. So he has to be married by the age of 35 to be able to take over his father's business. She is doing it because she wants a child. And so he has agreed to give her a child if she marries him. And they've got like a certain amount of time that they're going to do it in, all of that. You know how it goes. So one thing, trigger warning for this book, is that the main character has, I think it's PCOS, where she has trouble getting pregnant. So that it may be a trigger warning for some. I really related to it. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was well done. I really related to the content of the book, to the plot line of the book. But for some reason, I just didn't relate to the characters as much as I did in the previous 2 books. Also, a big thing for me is that the ending, the last 20%, there's going to be conflict. But I kind of felt like she did Enzo wrong because Enzo's this smart, funny guy. He has common sense. But she made his character out to be an idiot in the last 20%. Like, she really made him, like, lack common sense. Like, he did some really stupid stuff, and he's just like, I don't understand what she wants from me. But, like, it was so over the top that his friends had to sit there and tell him, oh, she told you that she loved you, and you just walked out the door because she told you to leave, and you didn't say it back. Like, I mean, it just didn't, the conflict didn't make any sense to me because I thought Enzo was smarter than that. And I thought it was kind of an injustice to his character because it just really made him almost just lack any basic common sense. So, anyway, I did give it 4 stars. I still enjoyed it. It just wasn't my favorite. And then, last but not least, I finished Charger, which is the Protectors book number 16. And I'm not really going to talk about that one either, once again, because spoilers and all of that. I gave it 4 stars. It was good. I was going to give it 3 stars, but because I felt like the book was unfinished. But in the acknowledgement, she mentioned that if we felt like it was unfinished, it's because it is. There's going to be a part 2 in the book. So they're getting another story, which makes more sense to me now. So I gave it 4 stars. So now, I don't know. I'm in some kind of mood today because I have started 3 books. I have DNF 2 and I'm considering DNFing the 3rd book, which y'all know, I think I've DNF 3 books this entire year. So to DNF 3 books in one day is not like me. But I DNF'd My Best Friend's Sister by QB Tyler. I hate to say that, y'all. You know, I love QB Tyler. Like, her Unconditional and Love Unexpected books were some of my favorite books this year. I adore Unconditional. Like, that's one of my favorite books of the year. Seriously, one of my very favorites. So, I really was disappointed that I DNF'd My Best Friend's Sister. But I DNF'd it at 12% because this book didn't vibe for me. It was not the best written book. I don't know. It was like 3 years ago, so I'm thinking maybe it was one of her first books. And we all know we got to start somewhere, right? Like, they're not all going to be perfect. But the main reason why I DNF'd it, there was a ton of inner monologue. So this guy is a complete asshole, and it's his best friend's sister, obviously, but he is just kind of an asshole to her from the very get-go. And then he has all of these inner thoughts that are written like in italics that he's like thinking in his head throughout the entire, for 12% of the book that I read. And it was just really annoying. It just didn't work for me. So I went ahead and DNF'd that book because I definitely did not want to give her a low star rating. It just wasn't something I wanted to finish. The next book that I DNF'd was A Beauty, Dark and Deadly. This is by Heather C. Myers. And I honestly thought a dude wrote this, and like, no offense, like, guys can write romance, right? But it was almost like she was trying to write a flowery, beautiful wording book, but it just didn't work. It sounded cheesy at parts. Like, he had a beautiful mouth with a small upper lip and a big plump lower lip, but my favorite part of his feature was his nose. It was slightly crooked with, and I'm just like, really? It kind of felt like a dude was writing it, right? So I read like the first chapter, and then I was just like, I don't know, maybe I need to go read the reviews. And I saw that Jen gave it like 2 stars. So I was just like, yeah, this probably isn't for me. So I went ahead and just DNF'd it. The plot sounded really interesting. It was about this guy who's kind of a recluse. He had been accused of killing his wife and her lover. And he's this novel writer guy, and so he's living out in this little secluded cabin, and he wanted to hire somebody to come in and do something for him. So she's like applying for the job because she's desperate for money, but she thinks that he killed his wife. So she's attracted to him, but she's supposed to be like scared of him too. And I thought, wow, that sounds really interesting. But I just couldn't the writing just wasn't for me. So now I picked up A Cruel Paradise, I believe. This is by J.T. Geisinger. It is the 2nd book in her series. It's a mafia romance. I loved the 1st book. The 2nd book, we'll see. I'm still deciding. I hope I love it. At the very first chapter, I was super confused because they just kind of like throw you into these characters that you haven't heard of. And I haven't read this book, the 1st book, in like, I don't know, I think I read it probably October last year. So, I mean, it's been quite a while. And so whenever I got into reading it, I was just like, this book doesn't make any sense because I didn't recognize these characters. I didn't understand the storyline. And then the 2nd chapter kind of was like, okay, now I get it. That's the love interest and her friend but it really confused me because I was just like, I don't understand what's happening. But hopefully it gets better. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll DNF it. I'm learning to DNF books, guys. I'm trying. Hey, y'all. How's it going? It is Thursday, April 22nd. Yes, April 22nd. So I got some bookish stuff in the mail today, and I wanted to go ahead and open it for you. Of course, you will see this during my book haul coming up in a little while, but I wanted to go ahead and do a little surprise for this. So if you're watching this vlog, then my book haul won't be a surprise. If you don't watch my vlogs, then you'll have no idea. First thing I want to go ahead and look at is my bookworm box. It came in and I'm super excited. Let's go ahead and see what we got for my box this month. It comes always with a cute little bookmark. And it's got lots and lots of lovely little strings everywhere. You know I love those. It gets everywhere. Okay. So, y'all. Coach Me by Shanora Williams. Yes. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love Shanora Williams. I love her. I love her. I love her. If you are into taboo reads, then you need to read her series. It is the Mr. Black duet. It is a best friend's father romance. Oh, so good. That ending in the first book about killed me, but it's so good. Also, she's got an MC romance that I really loved. There's only one book out in it so far. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of Shanora Williams. She's one of my favorite authors. I adore her, and I'm super excited to have this. Of course, it comes signed by her, and these covers are exclusive to the bookworm box, so this is not her typical cover for Coach Me. I don't know what the typical cover looks like, but this is cute. It's got a Ferris wheel on it. It's not like my favorite cover of all time, but I bet you it probably relates to the book. And then it's got a little whistle on the back. Telling you, she does taboo so well, and like now I kind of want to stop everything I'm reading and read this. Like, no joke, I really want to read this. The next thing that I got in, I am super excited for this. So I pre-ordered this probably 3 months ago. It just came out on Tuesday. If you have never received a J.R. Ward signed book before, this is how it comes. They always come with, it says thank you on it with a little dagger. They always come paper wrapped, and they're always different wrappings every single time. I love that. But this is my copy of J.R. Ward's newest Black Dagger Brotherhood book. I have several books signed by her. Okay. So, Lover Unveiled by J.R. Ward. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And like, I love the fact that she matched her paper wrapping to the actual book. Love that. And she always keeps it on the page that it's signed to, but it is signed personally to me from J.R. Ward herself. She is my queen. I love her. So that's all the bookish mail that I got today. So this has nothing to do with nothing, but I just wanted to show my curly hair problems. So for all of y'all that are like, oh, I love your hair's so beautiful. Yeah, this is what happens whenever you brush curly hair. So this is my lovely hair. Isn't it pretty? Hey y'all, so it's Friday, April 23rd, and I've got a really quick update for you. First of all, sorry about the shiny face. I just got out of the shower, put some moisturizer on, so if you see the whole shininess, that is the reason why. So today I DNF'd another book. Oh my goodness gracious, y'all. Okay, so this one was Cruel Paradise by J.T. Geisinger. It was book number 2 in the series. First of all, from the very first page, it almost felt like I was thrown into the middle of a storyline. I didn't recognize any of the characters. They were all laughing and making fun and having this great time. And I'm just like, who are these people? Like, I don't understand what's happening. And another really big issue that I had with this book, and this is just a me thing, but there was 3 main girls that were all best friends, and they were criminals, but it was like a rom-com-y thing. Anyway, all 3 girls had boys' names. So there was Max, there was Finn, and Jules. And it really confused me because every time I was reading their storyline, they would say something about Max, and I'm thinking it's a guy, and yes, I know that's sexist or whatever, but it was really confusing me because it kept distracting me from the storyline because I kept going, okay, who is Max again? Who is Finn? Like, it really kept confusing me. And the final kind of nail in the coffin was that this is a mafia romance, and it was way, way, way too rom-com-y. It was like a lot of humor, and it just doesn't, when I think mafia, I think a little darker, and this was supposed to be a mafia boss. So, DNF'd that one. So, with all of those, like, I DNF'd my last 3 books in a row. I was just like, I don't know. I don't know what to read. I ended up picking up another QB Tyler book because I loved 2 of her books in a row. Then I DNF'd one. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm going to give this author another try. I love this author. Like, that was probably just one of her way earlier books, so it just didn't vibe with me. So I'm going to give this author another try. I want to go ahead and pick up another book now. And so I picked up Forget Me Not, and I'm in love with this book. I am 25% of the way through, and I am obsessed. Like, from the very first chapter, I was obsessed. It is about a girl and a guy who met in college. He's older, and they fell in love, and it was just like this amazing connection. They still have an amazing connection. It's 9 years later, and you get like kind of some past and present, but it's mostly present so far. But we find out that he has cheated on her, and now they're going through a divorce. And he gets in a car wreck, and basically in the ICU, and she goes there and finds out that he has amnesia. So he thinks it's 2 years before, and they're still perfectly happily married. And he has a girlfriend, she has a boyfriend, they're going through this divorce, and it's so good because you hate him because, I mean, there's the trigger warnings for cheating in this one because he did cheat on her, and that's the reason why she left. And so he's still having a relationship with a girl that he cheated on her with, but he still has his ring and wears it around his neck. He still has the picture of his wife as his screensaver. Like, he's still totally in love with his wife. Anyway, that is my update for today. Tomorrow is the end of the vlog, so we will see how far I get. Hey y'all, it's Saturday. I am 65% of the way through Forget Me Not by QB Tyler, and I'm adoring this book. Loving it, loving it. This week I learned finally how to correctly put the photos in. So you're gonna see that it's not like this huge box around like the little picture. So I'm really proud of myself. That took forever to learn. Make it look halfway decent and not like this gigantic like border around my pictures now. If you saw that, then you know, like I've been struggling. So how about we actually get to the point here and talk about what I wanted to come on here and talk about, and that is I got some more book mail. So this is something that I will be showing in a book haul in the future, but I figured I would give you all a sneak peek for those of you who watch my vlogs and go ahead and open it on here. So I got this off of a Facebook group. You all know that I'm really getting into Book of the Month books. I have dedicated an entire shelf over here. This is going to be my Book of the Month or other book genres outside of romance. So I've got my main 3 shelves are double booked and will all be romances of some kind. And then I've got all of my like little mini cart. I've got 4 of those that are also going to be romance books, but I'm dedicating that one white bookshelf all to book of the month and to thrillers and other genres that I'm getting into. So since I'm doing that, there's so many books that I'm interested in, and I keep getting excited because I keep looking at book of the month books, and the more that I look at them, the more of them that I want, because your girl has no impulse control when it comes to shopping. Like, that is an anxiety thing for me. I don't know how many of you are out there that are like me, but whenever I get nervous, excited, frustrated, sad, I mean, any emotion you can imagine, I go shopping. So, is it good? Is it healthy? Probably not. But let's be honest, I don't really go out on vacations. I don't spend my money on much else. I take care of my mom full time, so I have extra money to spend because I don't have to pay for a house. My car's paid off. I don't have any debt. So really all of my money goes into savings, and what little that I want to spend is spent on books. And that is like, I don't really spend a lot on clothes. Like, as you can see, my clothes are mostly black. Like, I buy them from wholesalers and I spend like $3, $4, $5 on them, and then I usually put on, you know, if I want to have sayings or want to make it cute, I do that myself because I've got my own Cricut. So the majority of what I spend is spent on books, and that's what I choose to spend my money on and what I like to spend my money on. And I enjoy buying Kindles and technology and whatnot, but it's mostly spent on books. And I love searching for a good deal. So I found this gal who was selling multiple books that I wanted, all from Book of the Month. And they look like they were in really good condition. And I got them for, I think it was $9 a piece shipped to me. And that was better than what I could have gotten on Book of the Month. I mean, you can add 2 add-ons for Book of the Month, and then you get your main one. I've already got all the credits for this year, and then you get 2 Book of the Month add-ons is all you can get. So you can get up to 3 books a month is all. Like, they won't let you get any more than that. And I wanted more. So I went ahead and I'm finding them other places. The first book that I got from her is The Time That I Lied by Riley Sager. And this is in pretty good condition. It's not like the absolute best. There's some little corners on here that are a little messed up that I wish I would have known about, really, being honest, because I didn't really see that it was that messed up. But it's okay. So this kind of sounds like Pretty Little Liars to me, if you were a fan of that TV series. Like, you know how Allison was kind of they all had a sleepover and Allison ends up going missing and she disappears for years. That's kind of what this sounds like, is like a group of girls. Some of them went off and they're never found again. And so she's trying to investigate this disappearance, and it's of her friends. Sounds really curious. I'm wondering if it's anything like Pretty Little Liars. We'll see. It sounded really interesting though. The next book that I got is The Last Flight by Julie Clark. This one sounds really, really interesting. So she's literally taking on somebody else's identity as they were trying to switch places. This sounds super thrilling, super intriguing. This one sounds like it's going to have a lot of twists and turns. I'm really, really interested in reading this one soon. The next book that I got is One to Watch, which I have read and I adored. It was one of my favorite books last year. This is by Kate Stayman London, and this is a kind of a take of The Bachelorette, but with a plus-size heroine. I thought this was very well done. I loved this heroine so much. I related to her on such a deep level. I totally got all of her emotions and her feelings of at times feeling confident, and then at times feeling like, why are these guys going after me? They're, you know, muscular, perfect, and here I am, this big girl. Like, are they actually here for me, or are they here because of the show? Like, it's really interesting, and I really love this take on it. It was something that I really loved, and I personally felt like there was definitely a romance in this book. I loved it. The last book that I got is A Good Marriage. This is by Kimberly McCrate. So this one sounds like it's going to have lots and lots of twists and turns. I'm really curious about this one. It's got really good ratings on Goodreads. So as you can tell, I'm definitely getting into some thrillers and some different genres. I'm growing up. As I grow up, I'm starting to not really care so much about teenagers and young adult, new adult books. And I'm getting more into adult romances, adult relationships. And then I'm getting into some other genres outside of just romance. I want to read other things. So I think that kind of reading is just a journey. It kind of grows along with you. And the older that you get, the more things that you used to love don't interest you as much anymore. Some of your favorites no longer are your favorites. You're kind of cringed out by certain books that you used to adore. So I think that is just part of growing up and part of your reading process and your reading journey. Anyway, that is it for me. I'm going to go ahead and head off to Home Depot, but I will update you this evening and wrap this vlog all up. Hey y'all, I'm here to wrap up this vlog. I'm not even going to tell you how much later it is because it's just embarrassing at this point. But I finished Forget Me Not by Q.P. Tyler. The hero in the story cheats on the heroine, and while I hate cheating in books, I could understand it, kind of, sort of, if it happened once. So they were going through a really rough stage in their marriage, but this couple was, I mean, it was like a once-in-a-lifetime love, like soulmates. The way it was written is that they were like the perfect couple. The issue that I have with it is that not only did he cheat on this heroine in a drunken, blackout kind of drunk night, but he continued to cheat on her with this girl, and it just didn't make sense to me because the way he was written, it was like I was reading two different characters, because this guy would have never, ever, ever continued to cheat on his wife, whereas the first guy did. I mean, so it was like reading about two completely different people, but they were the same person. It just didn't make any sense to me. If the hero had just cheated once, I could see it as definitely, like, it would have been a 5-star read had he just cheated the one time, but he stayed with this girl and it just didn't make any sense. So gave it 3.5 stars. I still enjoyed it. It was good. I would recommend it. I think it's a really good story, especially if you've never read an amnesia trope. I had never read one and I really enjoyed it. It just, something didn't work with me on that part of it, the cheating part. It just didn't work. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this vlog now because it's way later, like it's over a week later. So it's time to wrap this up, get this up, and I'm gonna go ahead and start a new vlog. Took a week off of vlogging, so you will see that, but yeah, okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. I will talk to you guys later.